Salam, peace, hotep, Aquaba, welcome. We're here. April's almost done. 29th of April, Canaanland Moore's class. Today's class, you already know, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, I don't know if it's just me or whatever, but I've been asking some people and I don't know, right? So, y'all let me know what's up. But I realized that the Ali Muhammad default judgment has 11,000 hits right now, right? Put that up Saturday, right? So, or Sunday. So something's up. I don't know what's up, but something's up. Because 11,000 hits, 3 days? I don't know. We're just going to monitor that and see what happens with that. Next thing, Islam to the Moors that assisted, you know what I mean? Showing that unity, right? And taking it on themselves to set up the Iron Sheik music sites. So Islam to those Moors, you know, we don't even deal with names already because you already know what it is, right? 7.moorishmc, MOORISH, MC, COMUF.com, and willofalah.com. So go there, get your Iron Sheik music. Iron Sheik 5 is coming soon, right? People repped on it hard, so Islam to all the Moors who assisted in Iron Sheik 5. So that one's going to be a double too, just like Iron Sheik 4, because, you know, stuff's going on right now. I want to bring your attention to how people are punks, okay? Let's just put it like that. People are punks because there's no way that you're going to hear about Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish movement and study it and throw it away. No way. No way. And Noble Drew Ali himself said, I need strong men and women. So don't be saying Kudrow said nothing. Drew Ali said he needs strong men and women. That's why Drew Ali could have, you know, hands left over, how many more is here and all this type of stuff, fingers left over, right? Because everybody's sold out. Everybody jumped ship. Everybody walked the plank. Everybody. They said they'd rather walk the plank than back the prophet, right? Cool. Keep walking planks because everybody's game for the Moors to be back, right? Forget all these Moor haters, all these conscious mental wrestling guys debating about foolishness. Everybody's time's up right now. All the package seller people, 1,500 and all that, 500, 200, 100, whatever, right? Because money's going to be burning up in pockets just because Drew Ali said so. And now I know why he said that. That's why. Because you seen even this coming, right? So, you know, if I didn't have anything factual, actual factual that you can go document, I wouldn't have did the debate. But forget all these punks debating about is Noble Drew Ali and the Moor Science Temple legit. That's what you've been debating about, right? And all you people who were questioning why you do it, why you gonna do it and whatever, go check the 11,000 hits. That's why. Just like I told you, to get the information out to the people. I don't care about no debate and winning no debate or losing no debate, right? I went through all these schools of thought. And all of them sold me out because they didn't tell me about the Prophet. So forget all of you guys. Either you're repping Noble Drew Ali or whatever, or get to step in. Don't even have no conversations with me. That's where it's at now. Right? That's where it's at now. And do it like this instead of call people, text people, whatever. Put it on the record. That's how it is right now. Right? You call yourself whatever. I don't care what you call yourself. Because that's your birthright that you're throwing away. I don't care. Do what you do. But when you have volume 31, number 27, April 7th, 2006, right? Muslim Journal is going to come out. Muslim Journal, 2006, okay? The Muslims, whether they're black, pale, Arab, whatever, anybody who says Quran and Allah and Arabic hijabs and all that, the Muslims. And nobody refuted this. Nobody came out and told Muslim Journal, nah, you can't print that. And remember, this is a newspaper, right? On the front cover, this is 2006, front page, news, right? Moorish scientists, Noble Drew Ali, founders, forerunners to Nation of Islam. So what's that tell you? It tells you that these guys right here, right? These guys know who Nation of Islam is. They're Muslim. And they know. And they put it in their paper, front page. If Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple isn't legit to you by now, because there's some Muslims who go Hajj and all that. Their newspaper, right? And just go call them. I'll give you all the date. So you can go call them, you can go get your copy, right? Moors. Volume 31, number 27, April 7th, right? Like, come on. Come on. April 7th, they put this on the front page, yo, and they don't know what this is about. You're like, come on, yo. You gotta have to stop playing around with people's birthrights, huh? 2006, these bands came out and said that the Nation of Islam is crap because they have a foundation that's called Moorish Science Temple. And they put the convention picture, right? So you know. Okay? And we're not going to read the article. Go get the stuff. Go get the stuff. Because these people are jokers. Jokers. All these guys are jokers. Because all these guys know. You know what, matter of fact? Let's skip ahead before we go out of order today. Let's go out of order today. Right? Let's go out of order. We'll let y'all know it one more time just to let you know, right? Just so you know, right? Yes, Anna could say black power. Because she knows what's up. Yeah, he could say black power. And I'll back him saying black power. Because now I know what he's talking about. Because he has Fez on, and I know what degree that he's on. Because, you know, like we talk about, you know, the conversation, Taj Bey, asking him, you got Black's Law Dictionary, English Heritage Dictionary, Etymology Dictionary of the English Language, and all that? And Sana is saying, yeah, he has those. So, I know what he's talking about when he says black power. You know, when we do the dumb ones, like, well, you know, our people, between our people, we know what we mean when we say, right? Okay, we're gonna pull those ones, right? Yeah, I know what Sana says means when he says black power. So black power is not Islam. right? Go to these jokers. Let's speed ahead, right? These guys. Affidavit of private citizenship and indigenous ministerial status. Let's go in how I wasn't able to go in because certain people decide that, you know what I mean, they're going to wait until last minute to try to get stuff done. When they know it, you know what I mean, they had 2 months or whatever to prepare for stuff. And then now people want to reschedule stuff and make it seem like somebody called me about rescheduling something. Nobody called me about rescheduling nothing. What reschedule are you talking about? Like we say, if some pseudo-government organization is going to tell me I owe them, and I send them a writ, and they don't reply, and I send them a default judgment, they can't come talk to me about nothing after that. What are you talking about? Right? You could send a message before the debate. You could send a message before the debate to tell me, let's do it in New York so we could have a bigger audience and split the door 50-50. But you can't send a message to say that, oh, it ain't going to happen because I can't get my stuff and whatever like that. Even though you did send that message. But bottom line is, I don't care about fiat. Fiat doesn't mean nothing to me. I don't care about fiat. Speaking about fiat, just so all the Moors know, right? Just so all the Moors know, okay? There's people who play ball in the NFL that call me, that they're on nationality and birthright, just to inspire you, right? Somebody called me, they're in like $250 million bracket. Call me on the phone, right? And people know and stuff like that. You see it on TV and all that. They're calling to find out about birthrights. How do we get a hold of Taj? We want to bring him places because, you know what I mean? We know what happened to Wesley Snipes. We know exactly what happened to him. You know what I mean? And it's not a one person. There's a little crew, right? Because we get calls from all over. People who are in the bracket, in the millions bracket, right? Affidavit of private citizenship. All these jokers, right? So you know what I mean? It's not a fake thing, right? Sure, that's his writing right there. And we talked about it. Bracket debate, right? So that's fraud right there because that ain't no, like that doesn't mean nothing to Moors, especially Moors of Moors Science Temple. Okay, see how it says it right there? Moors Science Temple of America. Isn't he bashing it, saying that it's no good, right? What does that say right there? Divine and National Movement, right? Nation of Islam, right? So he left that. How is he using the authority of all these organizations to try to sell you some idea? Okay? And then you can see that it's all about being known or whatever, because you have chief minister bigger than his name. So you know what you're dealing with already. Right? Ain't nothing to debate. He knows what's up. What are we debating? What are you debating? He knows what's up. This is how much he knows what's up. Right? Having the lawful and legal status as a member of an Aboriginal, indigenous, tribal nation, just for all those punks who like to talk about you want to be a tribe, right? Even Ali Muhammad knows that a tribe has to be connected to a nation. Tribe doesn't stand on its own, right? Even he knows. Tribal nation. If you would have said tribal nation, I would have went with you. But you're trying to rep some tribe. We bun tribes, right? You hear Bob Marley and all these people, tribal wars and all that. What do you think? What do you think they're saying that for? That's what causes the confusion. Cause we're not repping no nation. We want to rep some tribe. Jamaican tribe, Trinidad tribe, Tobago tribe, Barbados tribe. But it's all same people, dark skinned people, big noses, big lips, woolly hair, all that. Moors, right? Like he doesn't know. And status of Moorish American Muslim, right? He knows he's a Moorish American Muslim, all right? I recognize and respect all laws governing United States, blah, blah, blah. I recognize the Constitution, supreme law of the land and all that stuff, right? Along with all the treaties, what I'm saying? Which also the supreme law of the land, so he honors all that. Okay, right? He honors all that, right? I am not a corporate citizen, fictitious entity, artificial person, 14th Amendment citizen subject to the public debt obligation or surety. I'm a certified member of my indigenous, blah, blah, right? But then, you study Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali said, and at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So this is why he could say in his affidavit right here, that used to be online and then it took him down because, gonna say, oh yeah, I took that down, so that doesn't count or whatever. I didn't hear you say put up nothing that you dissolved this. So it's already on the record that you didn't dissolve it. You can make something up, but you better have a date on it. Because remember, this doesn't have a date either. So that means it's perpetual. Because you're a high scientist, you know what's up. You know alkaline water and all that. So you're vibrating on a high frequency if you're drinking alkaline water and you're living holistic as far as your diet. Right? So he's not a 14th Amendment citizen. Right? But then when you go on the back of the card, why I couldn't show you guys close up, right? Is that he's telling you on their ISIS whatever card that this card is authorized by the 14th Amendment. See that right there? 14th Amendment, right there. Right there, 14th Amendment. Okay? Stop fleecing the people. Come back home. Come back home. And for all you chumps again, like I told you, right? Don't call yourself a tribe. I am a tribe and they're arguing about foolishness, right? This is why you don't be a tribe, because here's their government employee ID tax exempt number, and he's telling you right here that Cherokee and Choctaw is incorporated. Cherokee and Choctaw is incorporated. So if Cherokee and Choctaw is incorporated, that means that's not a tribe. That means that's a private corporation. And you want to belong to that, instead of saying that you're a Moorish American that nobody has no jurisdiction on. That's what Ali Muhammad did. You think he's going around doing all this stuff, what he's doing, talking how he's talking. No different than Son that are saying black power. Yeah, you really should say more power, but you'll get the pass because you got your fez on. You're showing what's up. But Ali Muhammad's not got his fez on and showing what's up and talking how he's talking. He try to make you think that he doesn't know that Noble Drew Ali is the foundation of everything that he's standing on. Talk about sovereignty. And whoever else is talking about sovereignty, whether black sovereignty, whether it's sovereign citizen, whatever, free man, whatever, all that stuff. Nobody couldn't be doing any of that if it wasn't for the Prophet. And then they don't want to honor him. And they want to say, I'm an agent, when they're getting welfare check and child tax credit benefits and crap like that. And I'm an agent? The check in your bank account comes from the goddamn same enemy. And then that's why people out here in this jurisdiction, I'm going to let you know, people in this jurisdiction don't want to get down with the Moorish movement. You see all you Moors out there? All you Moors out there who ever call my number, Islam to all of you. Because people in this jurisdiction don't call me. And I tell y'all that when you call me. Damn, where you at? UK. UK? What are you calling me for? People here don't call me. Well, ask any of them. They'll tell you. Right? Why? Because everybody been playing this game that, right? Everybody been playing this game that this is some little club freaking thing. Right? But this is not some club. This is nationhood. This is what Garvey talked about that he wanted. This is what Elijah Muhammad talked about that he wanted. Right? This is what Ralph Bunche went to the freaking UN for. Nationhood. Right? You can't do it under a black label, African label. You have to proclaim your free national name as laid down to you by that individual right in the middle right there. Giving you the death stare just because. Right? Giving you the death stare. Because he told you himself that, what you want me to do, kill you? This is your birthright. Look at all these Moors backing him. Look at this. There's your boy, Elijah right back there. See his round head right there in the white suit? Yeah, Elijah. He's up in here. Right? Pictures that they never show you. Why? Because everybody want to try to make you think that, you know, Moors are about some conscious wrestling. You know about no freaking conscious wrestling. This is people's birthright. Look at all these Moors right here. Right? This is one temple. This is how real it was to them. This is how real it was to them. Right? Just so you know, this is your birthright. This is not some organization joining stuff. If anybody tells you that this is some organization, whatever, run from those people. Because they're working with the enemy about trying to steal your birthright. If they are not talking to you about birthright, nationality, or inheritance, they are your sworn enemies. Meaning, they have sworn oaths, blood, death, penalty oaths, to kill you or kill themselves if you ever find out how to repatriate yourself back to Morocco. The Bay and the L is an interdimensional, multidimensional, hyper-celestial, hyper-dimensional nationality. Islam is the sun, moon, and stars. Asir Cordoba Ali, the Duke of Tears. Right? That's what this is about. Anybody else tell you anything other than this? When you hear more say Islam, not some religious whatever. We're talking about the sun, moon, and stars. That's what that means. Just like inepts would see a Mason, and they would know that individual's a Freemason because they seen a ring or a pendant or whatever, and then they'll go up and ask them if they're, or are you a traveling man, right? And yeah, he'll have a conversation and whatever, yeah, whatever. We're not getting no secrets. Why? Because if you're a real Freemason, when you greet somebody, you say Assalamu alaikum. And that's the secret of the society. That they greet each other like Moors. So you talk to certain Moors and that's how they were greeting each other in the temple. When Noble Drew Ali was around. And certain people adopt those practices and say, oh yeah, we're following Islam over there or whatever. No, the Prophet gave them that. Right? Because remember, when we talk about Islam in America, we're talking about Islam amongst the Negro, black, colored people that don't know that that's their creed, that don't know that they have a nationality. And they think this is just like all the other black stuff that happens and goes on. When that's not what this is, right? This is way beyond what people even fathom this is, right? Moorish leader attends inauguration of governor, Saturday, January 19th, 1929. Okay? No. You know it's newsprint. Okay? You know it's newsprint. All right? Go look him up. Governor Lewis L. Emerson. See if he's real. Okay? People could play like this is not legit, but this is legit. And again, we haven't even gone into no long information about anything. This is just basic. Just to show people that this is legit. Same lady we were talking about, Susan Nance. There's a book that she wrote, How the Arabian Nights Inspired the American Dream. Right? And this is the cover of her book. 1790 to 1935. Right? Timeline. Okay. Susan Nance. Okay? And don't get it twisted with this guy, because she talks about Noble Drew Ali in here. Don't be fooled by the cover. Right? Don't be fooled by the cover. Please don't be fooled by the cover. Because she will slap you with that book. Right? Okay. Now, you already know. You don't even have to, but put it out there just because, you know what I mean? Just because. Where's that thing at? To bring up an issue that has already been concluded, something that's considered to be pointless. If an argument erupts and it's one that has been previously settled, then the idiom beating a dead horse might be said by someone who sees any further discussion on the topic to be meaningless. Right? So, beating a dead horse promotions is who set up today's class. So Islam to beating a horse promotion. Right? Because this horse been dead. Since 1913, this horse has been dead. And more is still beating this goddamn horse because people don't get it. Right? Flying Swords of Dragon Gate. Flying Swords of Dragon Gate. Flying Swords of Dragon Gate. You can go watch it. It's probably on YouTube. Right? If these guys know what's up, okay, just get your mind blown for a little. Just get your mind blown for a little. Right? Okay, throughout the whole movie. throughout the whole movie. Throughout the whole movie. Follow idiots who like to say bucket heads and stuff like that, right? Well, Mr. Chin has a bucket head too, right? And he ain't shy with his bucket hat. He'll rep his bucket hat. Put the handle under his chin and everything. Because he's repping the bucket hat. Forget what you say. I don't care what you say about my bucket hat. This is my birthright. And I'm going to rep this. I'm going to put the handle of the bucket under my chin so my bucket can't fall off. Right? And these conscious, Islam to Professor I Self, right? The Godmore. The conscious community doesn't want to get it. The conscious community wants to play around like Moors aren't international and everybody doesn't know. The conscious community want to try to debate Moors like you have a chance. I don't care what anybody says. Right? From forward. Now you can say if anybody supports that debate stuff there or whatever. Now you could say that because all the debate stuff is done right now. Ain't nothing to debate. Go watch the movie and see them with fezzes in the whole movie. Right? No dark-skinned people in the movie. Everybody in the movie looks like these guys. Everybody. And they got fezzes on. And people playing around with this. Like this is not legit. You have to justify something. Right? Here, European. He's a European. Brother Justin. Right? Sales receipt. No tax. He's a European. Right? That has dark hair and dark eyes. And recognize something. That he's different than other ones. That something about Noble Drew Ali made him gravitate to this. Right? Tell me this is not legit. If there's a receipt right here with tax off, that a European freaking got. Right? Tax off. Freaking European. And you guys playing around. Like this is not what it is. Let's debate and see how this is and all this. You guys are idiots. You guys stay right there by yourself. Right? You got some. Get your pens out right now. You probably get this online. You don't have to get your pen. I'm just playing. It's online. But we just want to fly through some of these. Maxims. 10 maxims of law. Commercial law. Right. Law regardless. A workman is worthy of his hire. All are equal under the law. In commerce, truth is sovereign. Truth is expressed by means of an affidavit. An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. An unrebutted affidavit becomes the judgment in commerce. A matter must be expressed to be resolved. He who leaves the field of battle first loses by default. Sacrifice is the measure of credibility. A lien or claim can be satisfied only through rebuttal by counter affidavit, point for point, resolution by jury, or payment. So you just, I just found that 10 maxims of law. Get it, print it out, use it. It's all our stuff. Right? So, right, again, right? European stuff that we didn't get to show close up, just so you know what's up, right? all these Europeans, right? Europeans newspaper called the Morris Science Monitor. Got Circle 7 up there, you know what I mean? So you know they're repping the prophet because he resurrected that, right? They got more on it. You know? They didn't put fair skin like them. They put a brother on their cover of their newspaper. Europeans, right? They got the crescent and stuff down there, right? So you can just look it up. Morris Science Monitor, and stuff will come up. Don't worry, you'll find stuff. And then there's another one. Okay. So you know, not hiding, not, you know, they're not playing secretive with it. They're letting you know. They're letting you know. Right? Again, for all the people who say that I'm an agent, right? In June 1922, while on the extensive tour of the United States, Garvey stopped in Atlanta for a conference with Edward Young Clark, acting imperial wizard of the Klan. As a result of the discussions, Clark expressed sympathy for the aims of the UNIA, while Garvey was reinforced in his suspicion that the Klan represented the invisible government of the United States. Consequently, black and white integrationists were protesting against the UNIA KKK summit. It wasn't just some little whatever, okay? The summit. Summit between the UNIA and the KKK. A summit between the UNIA, Marcus Garvey, and the KKK, Albert Pike. Right? Garvey's not agent though. But we honor him. You met with the KKK though. They were lynching people. They were lynching people. How come they didn't lynch Garvey though? How come they didn't put Garvey on the news? Why they even say they're going to meet with him? Right? Why? If I'm an agent, because I talk to some police officers who I know, right? And we do just like what Garvey and the KKK did, right? I'll go to the closed door meeting, you know, the table, and then over there you have like, you know, the little donuts and coffee and whatever, you know, you go help yourself or whatever like that, you know, fruit stuff and, you know, muffins and whatever, you know, the table, you know, white cloth on it and all that stuff. All those meetings I've been in, right? And half the time, me being in those meetings is these police officers realizing how corrupt it is. What do you say? You all right?
Yes.
Here. You're back up again?
Yeah.
Not really. Still okay. Okay. Yeah, yo.
Regents here?
No. Right? Why is it? Why is it that they're meeting? Right? Why are we meeting with them? Because they realize that there's a problem. And they're literally spooks at the door. Because they know there's a problem. And they know that the problem is only amongst people who look like them. Because on their job, they're getting it. You're going to talk about agent. Right? And they really see that there's a problem. And there's this officer, right? So-called officer, right? Working for Metro Toronto Police Services, right? Who I know, Officer Chung. He's a brother though. Just like
Yeah.
Mr. Chin when we read the thing,
Yeah.
right? Okay, Officer Trump, but he's a brother though, right? And me and him meet and build and stuff like that, right? And he wants to help because he'll personally go to a police chief to go get whatever money that he could get, so a community could have a free whatever. Find me some black whatever that did that for Toronto around here. And these so-called, oh, everybody's complaining about, oh yeah, priority neighborhoods, at-risk youth or whatever, right? Everybody have $80 million grants or whatever, and none of that's not going back in the community, and I'm an agent. They even took the check. You can even check the record. I never took a check, ever, ever. I'm grant basher, bun grants, video, fact, all that crap, right?
But it's
Go succumb myself to slavery to make a video. Do you guys pay for it? What are you talking about? When I got freaking laundry, I could go and do a video for free, just as good quality as your stuff, right? So if Garvey met with the KKK, right, then he must be an agent then. If I'm an agent because I met with, Officer Trump. Right? Simple as that. Agent. Oh yeah, not only them, because remember, we showed you all the picture, we put it up close, so you could see all the faces and stuff, right? But you couldn't really see, right? So now, the NOI now meeting with the Nazis.
in the background.
Okay? So how's the NOI meeting with the Nazis and they're not agents, right? And like we were talking about, you could see that they're in the front row because you could see their knees, okay? And then when you look back here, ain't no room for nobody to stand in front, anybody take no picture. So you know that they got front row seats. How they get front row seats in NOI stuff? Isn't that some agent stuff? The Nazis have front row? Shouldn't they have like a back corner or something like that? How Nazis in the front row at the NOI stuff? But they're not agents though. We'll follow them. Right? We'll follow them. We'll do what they do, but no, we're not gonna go with Noble Drew Ali or whatever because he, he was a circus magician and he's a hermit, trying to punk him when all these agents are out here meeting with Nazis and KKK and stuff.
Don't want to battle the agents.
Don't want to battle the agents, because remember, even Garvey, even Noble Drew Ali said Garvey is the forerunner of the Moorish movement. So, more Noble Drew Ali is backing agents now? Right? Yeah? You think so? You really think so? I don't think so. Back to these Europeans. So you're going to go research Moorish Orthodox Church, and there's their passport right there. Right? There's their passport.
They have their own passport.
Yeah. What's really a temple card? Right? But they call it passport. Because they honor Noble Drew Ali and they know what's up. They're not playing with no, you know what I mean? Call yourself something and then have people under the 14th Amendment and all that. Right? Okay? Europeans. And then there's the passport. Moorish League. Okay? Yeah, they got a website. You go check their history and all that. They'll let you know what's up. Right? Okay? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You are, each one, a priest just for yourself. Noble Drew Ali. Right? Divine warning by the prophet for the nations. So if you want to dash this away, you go right ahead. It's your birthright. But he came for the nations, and nations are jacking this. While you sit down there talking about, right? And there's Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged. Everybody, you know her. There she is, repping her fez, right? Okay. Remember, make sure you go get Atlas Shrugged. If you never heard about that book, you better go get that book ASAP. porque está porque esa. Right? Not only that, right? Simpsons had an episode with the Raggedy Ann Randalls, right? The Raggedy Ann Randalls, right? And they weren't even holding back.
Straight fast.
They weren't even holding back on The Simpsons. So you know this is TV
Out there.
out there. Ann Randalls. Yeah, just picture online. Just a picture online. All these Ann Randalls with feathers on. Right? Sending so many signals to people. So many signals. Yo, signals. Missing it. Keep missing it. When they do get it, put it down fast. Like, don't even take a time to, you know what I mean? Look at it. See how, you know. Right? Daniel Boone. I don't even know who the hell that is. Some man named Daniel Boone that they have this statue of him, right? And they have an oil drum on his head with the Shriner
mark on it.
thing on it. Right? And it's known as oil drum fez. Right? Daniel Boone wearing an oil drum fez. And it's a big statue.
It's America?
I think so. Somewhere, I can't remember. Right? Oil drum fez. Letting people know. Right? Like why do we want to get down with this? Because you listening to some fool try to jack your birthright? Not only try to jack your birthright and sell it back to you and all that. That's mad. That's madness. And then and then the Fez game. Right? The Fez game, right? With the little man right there throughout the whole thing with a fez on. Right?
Back in the day.
Yo.
Back in the day.
Been telling people. Right? Been telling us. You know? Mad. Now this one here, again, we don't rep no, have to big up no names of nobody, but everybody knows who they are already. We don't need to kill our flex. All right. So, conclusion. It is unfortunate that Mr. Sanders was a victim of robbery that occurred at the real property owned by the debtor. Mr. Sanders may be able to demonstrate that the robbery was the indirect result of an unsafe residential environment that prevailed at the Noble Juali apartments at the time of the robbery. But the occurrence of the robbery and the one-sided and self-serving documents prepared by Mr. Sanders are insufficient to establish any contractual claim against the debtor. For the reasons stated above, no implied in-law or implied in-fact contract ever existed between the debtor and Mr. Sanders. Mr. Sanders therefore has no right to assert any claims against the debtor for breach of contract, and that portion of the claim is hereby expunged. This ruling has no impact on the portion of the claim that is based on tort law theories. It is so ordered. Dated New York, New York, August 16, 2007. And that was when Mr. Sanders, I think David Sanders' name is, went against Noble Juali Plaza. So this is where Noble Juali Plaza is if you live in Brownsville, right? This is where Noble Drew Ali Plaza is. And then what's interesting is that there's, you know, one of the other Moors, again, you know, because Moors just be building, right? Moors doing his research, trying to find a sign for this spot,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And everywhere else has signs, except this projects right here, right? Bronzeville, that they call Bronzeville Projects, right?
But everywhere else in there
has, you know, a sign for the building.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where it's at. You want to go check just to make sure, right? So,
New Lux
so the people have Noble Drew Ali represented in real estate, right? Like actual real estate called Noble Drew Ali, right? That's messed up, right? That's messed up. Really messed up.
You got no sign either to tell you.
Nothing. Nothing. Well, let's beat up some people a little bit more. So this International Indigenous Society, right? Who this is this faker? Because there has to be two Ali Muhammads, right? Because when you go on YouTube, right? You go on YouTube and you punch in Ali Muhammad Bey, right? Stuff comes up. You know, two videos come up that are identified that name. But then now there's somebody else who says that they're Ali Muhammad, but they're not following what Noble Drew Ali said or whatever. They're following something else over here, right? So something's going on, right? So this so-called indigenous government tax ID whatever, right? It has a tax exemption number. So he says, you know, there's a number, right? Now, in Canaanland, it's a 6-digit number, right? So if you only use the 13 and the 1441, right, you have a 6-digit number. So, okay, you know, it could maybe be it. You know what I mean? Could maybe be it, right? Then do a little research, and then that number is 060131441. Oh, what? Oh, sorry, 131441. Right? And then there's this thing right here, right? 060131441. Okay? And then there's the rivet. So you know that, you know, this was no stapled document. This was a riveted document. Right? And then this is the apostille page. Okay, so this is your tax exemption authority. Because the number is right here, right? And then that number is referenced on the card right here as a tax exemption number, right? Then this thing right here should say something about tax being exempt or something like that, because the number is referring to this right here. Okay. United States of America, Department of State. To all to whom these presents shall come greetings. I certify that the document hereto annexed is under the seal of the Secretary of State of the States of Pennsylvania, and that such seals are entitled to full faith and credit. Then there's a little asterisk. In testimony thereof, I, Condoleezza Rice, Secretary of State, have hereunto caused the seal of the Department of State to be affixed and my name subscribed by the Assistant Authentication Officer of the said department at the City of Washington in the District of Columbia this 6th day of March 2006. So the asterisk, it says, for the contents of the annexed documents, the department assumes no responsibility. This certificate is not valid if it is removed or altered in any way whatsoever. Okay? Now, in our time, right? In our time, we're witnessing the toppling of everything corporate, right? Everything corporate is being dissolved,
Yeah.
okay? In this time that we're in right now, 2014 right now, right? Things are being dissolved. Things going on the planet, we don't even know what's going on, but things are going on, okay? We can see that to know that. The frequency is different, right? Now, interesting, because it's something that's talked about, often, that James Trafficant Jr.,
Not Junior?
yeah,
Not Trafficant?
no,
His
he's a
son.
junior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So James Trafficant Jr., right? Same one who got, locked up,
Yeah.
trumped up stuff on him and
Yeah.
all that, because he said certain stuff he's not supposed to say,
Yeah.
But they're not going to take out their own like that. They just give him some jail time. Right?
I remember this guy.
Okay? So he had a speech, and he said, prior to 1913, most Americans owned clear allodial title to property, free and clear of any liens or mortgages until the Federal Reserve Act, 1913, hypothecated all property within the federal United States to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, in which the trustees, stockholders, held legal title. The U.S. citizen, tenant franchisee, was registered as a beneficiary of the trust via his/her birth certificate. In 1933, the federal United States hypothecated all of the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects, the 14th Amendment citizen, to the Federal Reserve System. So anybody who claims to be 14th Amendment, right? Remember, we told you, and we showed you that cards authorized by 14th Amendment. So if the card's authorized by the 14th Amendment, that means you're a 14th Amendment citizen. If you're a 14th Amendment citizen, then the federal United States hypothecated all of the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects, the 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. All right? So let's see what hypothecated is. Big word.
They took and sold. Stole and sold it.
Let's see.
Fancy word for steal.
All right. Hypothecate. To pledge a thing without delivering the possession of it to the pledgee. The master, when abroad, and in the absence of the owner, may hypothecate the ship, freight, and cargo to raise money requisite for the completion of the voyage. Hypothecation. The term borrowed from the civil law. Insofar it is a naturalized, insofar as it is naturalized in English and American law, it means a contract of mortgage or pledge in which the subject matter is not delivered into the possession of the pledgee or pawnee, or conversely, a conventional right existing in one person over specific property of another, which consists in the power to cause a sale of the same, though it be not in his possession, in order that a specific claim of the creditor may be satisfied out of the proceeds. The term is frequently used in our textbooks and reports, particularly upon the law of bottomry and maritime liens. Thus, a vessel is said to be hypothecated for the demand of one who has advanced money for supplies. In common law, there are but few, if any, cases of hypothecation. In the strict sense of the civil law, it is a pledge without possession by the pledgee. The nearest approaches, perhaps, are cases of bottomry bonds and claims of material men and of seamen for wages, but these are liens and privileges rather than hypothecations. Okay. So you're saying your 14th Amendment by this card, right? And you're, going and filing papers and, you know what I'm saying? Because you think that now I'm a citizen now because I'm part of this indigenous society or whatever like that, right? And this is how it's supposed to go. And then you get a knock on your door, right? And some people are coming at you and telling you that you owe taxes and all this type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
You owe this.
Telling you that you owe that, you do this, You're calling people, ain't nobody answering the phone and all that, right? Yeah, but, remember, if you follow what Noble Drew Ali said, he told you study, study, study. Mm-hmm. So if you would have studied in the first place, you would have been got game by those guys. Mm-hmm. But because you didn't study and you want an easy way out, you hear somebody say black sovereignty and you're, oh yeah, let's go. I want to sign up.
Let's do it.
You know what I mean? Sending emails telling, oh yeah, that guy's stuff is better than you guys' stuff and all that. Right? Right? All of that. All of that. Because people really think that it's a game. People really think that what Noble Drew Ali is Kudrow's opinion. Right? Mm-hmm. That's nothing to do with me. He already laid down everything already. Mm-hmm. Nothing to do with me. Because, I don't need title to be Grand Chief. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't need to go in the Arab chamber. Even though I went. Right? Mm-hmm. But why did I go? Because of the corruption. Because if I didn't go, right, and then call myself Grand Sheik, you know what people be challenging? Mm-hmm. You know what people be challenging? If I'm saying I'm Grand Sheik and I didn't go through the Arab chamber, mm-hmm. That's the only reason why I went through it.
Mm-hmm. They would have just made it.
Because they would have just tried to, do me like Lord Abba. You don't have no authority. Why is he talking like that and all that stuff? But they can't do that. Because it's documented that I went through the Arab chamber. You know what I mean? It's documented. Mm-hmm. And nobody can argue. Right? Because Moors take this serious. We're not taking this like people take this joker, like some joke thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grand Sheik, so he thinks he's the pastor of something and whatever. He calls himself that guy, and he's not qualified. He's not qualified to be in that position. Right? But Moors out there, they're not looking at that like this. You know what I mean? There's Moors who, that's all, they don't even call me by my name. They call me by title when they come. Just because that's where they're at with the level of, you know what I mean? And I deal with them like a Grand Sheik will deal with them. For them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Not to, sing hymns to Noble Drew Ali Grand Sheiks. You know what I mean? The Grand Sheiks that are actually doing something out here. To try to, make some type of change. Like we were saying, the video from Saturday has 11,000 hits. Like, that's insane to me. Mm-hmm. All my stuff only got 400 hits or whatever.
Now we got 11,000 doing stuff.
Something's going on. You know what I mean? The word must be getting out or something. Right? Again, just a little more. We showed this one already, but we'll just put it out there again. You know, native sale. There's the date. There's the everything. So you know that, you know, it's not it's not some fake. We're just passing by something. There's the number 222141, 6-digit number, right?
What is it?
This is a
It's a receipt?
yeah, dollar amount. One of the Moors went and put on his nationality card for tax exempt.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I do.
Yeah, no tax. Right. Zero tax. So like, we don't think it's legit. It's cool, you know what I mean? We're gonna show our thing, get our little thing off, like you know what I mean? You can sit there and pretend like.
So they just charge them straight. That's it.
Yep. You know what I mean? Right. This is from the oh, another thing too. I think I remember was looking through this thing right here. In regard to this thing, right? Key point, right? Department of State. So that's federal, right? Right, like that's the top of the food chain.
Supposed to be, yeah.
Right? As far as the United States of America is concerned, right? Department of State, right? James Trafficant again.
Here,
it is an established fact. Established.
Then no, you can't change it.
Fact.
It is what it is.
Established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9th, 1933, 48 Statute 1, Public Law 89 to 719, declared by President Roosevelt being bankrupt and insolvent. HJR 192, 73rd Congress, M Session, June 5th, 1933. Joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause. Dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States governmental offices, officers, and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only. So if the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States governmental offices, officers, and departments, right? And is further evidence that the United States federal government exists in name only. What tax exempt power are you getting from somebody who's dissolved and bankrupt and insolvent, and they exist in name only?
No.
Zero. Right? Zero. But you know, they wanna do this, right? They wanna do this and create this, you know what I mean? Illusion of freedom. Because you're tax exempt. Right? When tax exempts are fraud. Because if you're exempt, somebody authorized that.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So if somebody authorized you to be tax exempt, that means you're subordinate.
Yeah. You're not in the position of authority, someone else.
Opposed to not being obligated to taxes. Right?
Pretty cool.
Right?
Not bad.
Right? You know,
not being obligated to the tax.
Not being obligated to taxes, which shows that there's no joinder between you and somebody in order to be exempt.
Exempted from the
I'm
tax.
exempt because this is my land. And I have a nationality. And here's the card right here.
So he can use that card at any store?
Any store.
Any store. When you buy anything.
Whatever.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Now, you know, they're not just going to give up the birthright back. You know what I'm saying? One of the Moors is fighting right now.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on Saturday. you know, because they didn't want to accept it or whatever, you know. And he's like, yo, forget it, yo, write them a writ, whatever, you know what I mean? Writ them up, wrote them back, you know what I mean? Yeah, well, you know, sorry, but you're not registered with the corporate government that we're registered with, so
We don't, yeah,
we can't deal with you,
recognize you, yeah. Okay.
right? Which, you know, yeah, all right, go to those guys over there, you know, right? So there's ones that just do it, that they know what's up, you know what I mean? And there's ones that know what's up. Just take it, oh, read it, oh, flip it back, read it, bam, punch their whatever in the computer, and just do their thing. So it's legit. It's legit because receipt's right there. You know, they don't more to show than a receipt. The taxes.
Yeah.
Just like that. There's a blue book on the chair right there. Right. So dissolve. Okay. I know the printed book, like the binded book. Yeah. Right. Dissolve. Right. So again, right. Just to show you that they must recognize something, right? So they got up here, Her Majesty, the Queen versus Straw. Okay, and then there's the file number. So you wanna call them, you know what I mean? Ontario Court of Justice. Okay, there's the number right there. File number. Write it down. Call them and check. Think you know we're faking out here, right? Her Majesty, the Queen, right? Versus Straw. Okay. Before the justice, and you know the justice, he's a straw too, right? And remember, everybody's straw. Her Majesty's straw, right? Then there's the straw that they created, and then there's the justice of the peace, so-called judge, straw, right? And then the date of this, right? 25, right? 2011, right? Now, there's all these charges right here. Compulsory Automobile Act, 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 right? So a bare acting's going on right here, right? Nothing legit.
Nothing real.
Nothing real. Only acting's going on. That's all, right?
Hollywood.
Right? Don't get fooled by the Judge Judy and Joe Brown right now, right? Okay? Don't be fooled by the badges and the guns and the jails and the whatever, right? They don't have no power. All they want to do is intimidate you, that's all, right? Okay? So they have this stuff right here. And they threw out all of these, right? Except insurance. They threw out all of these except insurance, right? And then they fined and all that stuff. And, you know, I sent my writs and I sent my, you know, ransom to them. And, right?
Ransom.
And I haven't heard from them since. And the ransom that they got was $50. Two $25 money orders. From 2011. And I heard nothing from them. No second letter, third letter, no nothing.
Where's our money?
No, where's our money?
The money
Nothing.
price went up.
Yeah.
We want more
Like
money.
we want more, you know their little interest and all that stuff. Okay, not nothing, right? And then on the bottom right here, the appearances, right?
Yeah, Miss Guerrero.
The appearance, they have Miss Guerrero, but she's not straw, right? She's not straw. And then Cujo, ex-relation, and then that name's not straw, like up here, right? So they already knew from the jump, from this, right? From this, I already knew that case is over, right? Because they're all about cashing in on this, not this, right? They're all about cashing in on this because that's where they hide all their stuff, right? That's where they're supposed to discharge to. That's what they're supposed to do, whatever they're supposed to do, right? But that's their stuff. I don't care about that. That's why I did. That's why I said this. Ex relation. I don't care about that. I'm all about my birthright, which is right here, right? And remember, they didn't do Mr. Cujo Adwa L ex relation up here. They just put the straw name up here,
Yeah, up there.
right? And then when you go through the whole thing, right, like we were saying, it's Mr. Cujo Adwa L through the whole thing. Never ever called the straw name, ever, right? Never ever called the straw name because of ex relation. Okay? Right? Just to show. Their transcript. It's not my stuff.
Yeah.
This is their transcript.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
It's not real.
Dirty bad.
Debating about you know. Oh, so whose power allowed the taxes? There's no power. The with regard to this, there's no obligation to tax, so they didn't put it on the thing. Right? There's no obligation. Okay? With regard to this, tax exemption, right? There's no obligation because this tax exemption authority comes from this that is dissolved and doesn't have any power. Right? So there's no power of someone allowing the taxes. They're dissolved. They don't have no authority to say anything about tax. But then this is the other part though. Now remember, this is dissolved. But who really collects taxes? Not them. IRS collects taxes. So
independent corporation.
could it be that this tax exempt, right? Could it be that this tax exempt is really authorized by the IRS? And if this tax exempt is authorized by the IRS, if that's who has the power, right, of the taxes, if that's who has the power to exempt somebody, then definitely this is criminal. If the authority that he's going to have to be tax exempt comes from the Inquisition Revenue Services.
Right? The one who's supposed to.
But remember, he said in his paperwork that he's not a 14th Amendment citizen. Like all these people he's giving this card to. His paperwork, he said that he recognized Noble Drew Ali. His authority comes from the Moorish Science Temple. And his authority comes from the Moorish Divine and National Movement. So he's not in this jurisdiction.
Yeah.
He's not in this jurisdiction. He knows about birthright. No different than Elijah Muhammad calling people X. When he knows they're supposed to get a free national name.
He wants to call them X.
What are you calling them X for? Just give him a free national name.
He just wants the blank. Just call them.
Right?
Everybody's just.
And it goes all around. Right? It goes all around. It goes all around. Everybody knows what's up, right? So, like we told y'all, right? Nuwapian Moors newsletter. So they know what's up. How come they're not following the Prophet, bro? If they're Moors. And remember, like we were talking about, all the tribes been incorporated, so what do they call themselves now? Just Nuwapian without the Moors on it. Except the ones who study Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish movement, and they rep the Nuwapian Moors. Right? Because Noble Drew Ali has to be in there in order for you to say that you're a Moor or anything around here. Has to be in there.
Yeah.
Has to. You can't. Noble duality is unavoidable. Right?
Most definitely.
Unavoidable. Have to. Right? Again, the International Society of Indigenous Sovereigns was formally recognized by the United States Department of State on March 6, 2006. Right? Formally recognized by dissolved corporation. Formally recognized. We received the formal witnessing signature of the Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, executive branch of a dissolved, bankrupt, insolvent corporation, and the witnessing seal of the United States federal government. Oh, where's James Traffic at that? Right. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved since 1933. Okay. We received the formal witnessing signature of the Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, executive branch, and the witnessing seal of the United States federal government. Okay? Debate something. What are you debating? By the above actions, right? Remember, if noble duality is not in it, your stuff is going to fail. Right? But even if you put noble duality in it, but you don't follow the protocol, your stuff is going to fail. Right? By the above actions, the International Society of Indigenous Sovereigns, the Moorish Divine and National Movement became formally recognized by all levels of government in respect to the United States, from their historical headquarters, Maxim, now called Philadelphia County, and the headquarters for the International Aboriginal Association of Moors, Africans, Kamites, Nubians, Indians, and generally all Aboriginal black indigenous people was formally established. He's black now. So you can get the authority from the Moorish Divine and National Movement to become recognized and all this type of stuff. But you're gonna debate about something, right? And remember, this is all these guys, all of them, not just Ali Muhammad, the whole crew, the whole conscious wrestling crew, right? All of them, playing everybody, right? Those debates should be empty, just because you know now that they're gaming you, right? For fiat.
That's what it's about.
For
Money,
fiat.
money. Come watch a show.
Come watch the show. Let me give this guy a pile driver, and he not, you know, he knows how to fall well, so it doesn't hurt. Because pile drivers hurt.
Right.
Practice pile drivers hurt. I'm not getting up from that like that, yo. Freaking wrestling.
Down for the count.
Right? So we bought 825, so we about to have him in the camel clutch right now. Right?
Trust me, it's getting to the
We're going to have him, yeah, right? We have him in the camel clutch right now. Okay? So don't forget, you're going to go ask him for his book called Reparations Equals War. What will free and unite black people? And you got the great seal on it. And then when you go ask him, he's going to tell you that it didn't make the print. Right? But this book was put out by Al-Kitab Publishing. Publishing means that you print stuff. All right.
Put up somewhere, okay. At least once.
At least once. Right? The book entitled The Holy Quran Circle 7, prepared by Noble Drew Ali. Okay? Remember, this is this book right here.
Oh, no,
by this guy right here, right? You know, and you see he didn't put his full name. He just put Ali because he's jacking energy and stuff like that, right? Okay, right? No different than you know our boy. No different than our boy.
Mm-hmm.
Show him so everybody knows. You know what I mean? God. You know, don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? Because I know people are gonna get it twisted and you know say that Kudo's bashing or whatever. But no, I have stuff. Don't worry, I have stuff. He did write some good literature. You know what I mean? He did put out some good info. So don't get it twisted. Okay? Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. But the fact remains, everybody's jacking Noble Drawley's energy. And don't want to tell you that they're jacking Noble Drawley's energy because then you'll realize that it ain't about them, it's about Noble Drawley. Right? John the Baptist was the forerunner of Isa in those days to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was been taught by Isa. That's what Dr. York called himself, Imam Isa. Right? Because he's jacking the energy. Jacking the energy. Right? This is his version. It says Isa. But when you go check the circle 7, it says Jesus there. Right? Just like, right? Jacking the Ali. Right? I wonder where all the other volumes are at, because he must have some more information to add on to this right here. This was only volume 1.
Only one?
Where's the rest of the volumes at? Because, you know, the book entitled The Holy Quran Circle 7, prepared by Noble Drawley. This is Ali Muhammad's book.
Mm-hmm. But
Hold on a second.
prepared by someone else. Is it really your?
But didn't Ali Muhammad claim that Noble Drawley copyrighted Aquarian Gospel and all that type of stuff?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so on one hand he prepared it, which
On the
means
other hand.
he didn't plagiarize or copy anything, and then on another hand he plagiarized and copied everything. See what people are doing to just get you not to be down with this? Messing up your head, right? You can't research the Holy Quran Circle 7 and the Aquarian Gospel not come up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing to do with a European brought it and then Noble Drawley brought it, and which one is more legitimate or whatever like that. It's universal information that was hidden away behind the wall of China so that the Europeans ain't gonna get their hands on everything. So that was their plan. Get their hands on everything, destroy everything, and then come out like the, you know, we civilized, you know, Hippocrates and Socrates and Plato and those are the guys. And then everybody be like, oh wow, these Europeans. And then there's no evidence of anybody else.
Anything
But that ain't happening. That ain't happening. You're not just burying 50-foot stuff and, you know what I mean, 50-pound, 100 million brick, whatever. And you're not just burying that stuff. You know what I mean? Things are going to resurface. Has to. You know? And, you know, like, we have to think about, you know, why did he get it? Okay, the Europeans said that Akashic Records is how I got it. Right? That's what the Europeans said. Levi Dowling. Like, that's how he talks about how he got the Aquarian Gospel. Right? And Noble Drawley is saying that he prepared his for the Mormons. Right? I trust the guy who said that he actually did it and could show me, okay, well, yeah, I went here and I went here and actually did it, than the guy who says, okay, I got it in my mind, where's the paper, let me just write this down. No. No. Right? I ain't going with that. Man laid it down. And just a big up to the sisters. I found a little figurine with a sister wearing her fez, so, you know, the sisters could, you know, take your crown back, because you gave us the fez. So take your stuff back and rep it, you know, and then remember, when you go check the records, men wore the turbans. Men wore the turbans. When you talk about Barbary powers and all that stuff, men wore the turbans. Noble Ali, you know, right behind me, right, wearing a turban. Yeah, he wore the fez too. But stuff's been flipped around on us. Just like we said, like what Brother Chin said, right? Everything that you're looking at, you have to look in the opposite direction. Whatever you're looking at, whatever you've been looking at, when you get on this information, you flip everything. Or you're not going to make it out of this.
You're not going to get it.
You're not going to get it. You're going to be lost. You know what I mean? And there's no need to be lost. Because it's real simple. Not Negro, black, colored, you're Moors. And everybody knows that they got figurines and stuff with feathers on, turbans or whatever, showing people. You know what I mean? What it is. Right?
Do you know where this is from?
No.
Just
like
on internet. Yeah.
Internet. All those post up.
Yeah, post
vibes, right? Okay. Right. No. I don't know, that's not a fez or whatever like that. Well, that might not be a fez, but I see a big jewel on the front of the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That's supposed to be Hindu culture. Look what that shit know about Hindu culture. Oh, Moors went everywhere. Moors didn't discriminate about who's their brother, who's not their brother because of skin tone.
Anyway, we argue today about.
Yeah, right? How we argue today.
About shallow stuff.
Just
yeah.
What are you arguing about this for? You know, why are we debating? You know, what's the debate? We're Moors. What would you all lead it up? The Muslims came and told you, right? But everybody laid the stuff down. Like, what's the issue? You know what I mean? And don't forget, also too, we're gonna big up LJ. We're gonna big up LJ, and we're gonna big up the everlasting natural spring water that LJ is pushing. Right? We already know UNLV number 4, like you already know, right? Grab mama, like yeah. Okay? Right? And don't even try no tranny stuff with LJ. Because LJ was a bad man. LJ wasn't no Trump out there. You know what I mean?
Pushing water now.
The wear dress and those stuff and think that he's like Will Smith and stuff like that. That ain't LJ. Right? That's UNLV, yo. Don't even play. Right? So the reason why we're showing him, right? With this whole thing with the Clippers vibes, right? I don't remember who I seen this, whose page this on. Apologies if I jack their stuff, but you know who you are. We don't need to say no names. You know who you are. You posted this on Facebook today, right? Knicks executive and former player Larry Johnson had a decidedly different but still strong reaction to the racially insensitive remarks Clippers owner Donald Sterling is alleged to have made. Alleged, when they have the freaking audio.
I know.
Right?
Still on
that. That's a DN one right there. Can you see the obvious? Right? On Saturday night, Johnson tweeted, "Black people, you're focusing on the wrong thing. We should be focusing on having our own team, our own league for self." The initial indication was Johnson was calling for an all-African American league complete with black ownership. It wasn't the first time Johnson, who is black, concerned himself with the fact that the NBA's ownership is mostly white while its players are mostly black. During the 1999 NBA Finals between the Knicks and Spurs, Johnson caused a stir by saying, "We've got a lot of rebellious slaves on this Knicks team." When asked at the time why he referred to his teammate as slaves, Johnson said, "I've got to explain that to you. We don't go with the mainstream. Johnson was hired by the Knicks 2 years ago, served blah blah. In his first comments on getting fired by the Knicks 1 week ago, Mike Woodson said it was a dream come true to coach them, and he plays to coach again. You know, when I look at my situation, I started as a player. I was drafted by the Knicks 34 years ago. Woodson said blah 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 blah. Right, so that's the idea right there. That's what it's about right there. Right, that's what it's about. It's about having our own. You know what I mean? Because I was telling people, you know what I mean? You know, this stuff going on. Like,
It's just a pony for,
so
you know what I mean?
these guys could have their own league tomorrow, not lose anything. Playoffs will still go on and everything.
Trust me.
Yo, everything. Right?
They want
You have who's going to be commissioner, who's going to be deputy, whatever, who's there, and just slot everybody and kick all those guys out. And they have the fiat that they could do that. You know what I mean? Every sport. Well, they probably not, because, you know, these guys protesters take off their shirts and wear them backwards and stupid.
I know.
Right?
These guys are funny. I can't believe that shit. It's gonna take off my shirt. You showed up to the game to wear your shirt. You showed up to the game though. You showed up to the game to wear it inside out though. All right.
Showed up to the game.
I would have been on an airplane. We're going on vacation.
Yo. Showed up to the game, yo. So that's how you know.
Turn my phone off. Don't call me for 2 weeks.
That's why I can say my friend now. My friend that used to play in the NFL that calls me said those Negroes not giving up their millions. They're not giving up their millions.
Trust me, no.
They're not on nothing.
No, they don't got it like that.
All they're about is they have to make sure that they get their fiat that's about to be dissolved just now. Right? Where's that paper?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Where's that newspaper? There's a newspaper somewhere around here.
Here.
Oh, you got it? No, there's the next one. There you go, yo. It disappeared. No, that is, don't worry. Find something.
What, underneath there? This one on the bottom?
No. Go, yo. It's all good. Yeah, pack it down. Yeah. I got away. But I wasn't going to read none of this. Let's see what they got to say since we got some time. And nobody, oh yeah, and Islam to Grand Chief Nature for setting this up. Because Rosemore's been putting it out. You know. All right. Searching for Allah, more scientists, Noble Jew Ali forerunners to Nation of Islam. Washington, D.C. The need to worship something seems inherent in human nature. We Muslims say you are born Muslim and made otherwise by your circumstances. What that means is that you are born submitting to your Creator, worshiping Him, even if you don't know how to define or find Him. Also, one has to understand the times and conditions in order to understand how African Americans were attracted to the teachings such as those given by Noble Jew Ali and later by Professor Fard Muhammad and his student, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. An example of how thoroughly subdued was the African American can be realized when one reads the proverbial speech written by an inhumane slave owner of African slaves. Then, you know, they do the Willie Lynch thing or whatever. Right? We have experienced and heard a great deal about the days of the origin of the Nation of Islam, with its founder, a Muslim foreign citizen of Muslim foreign citizenry, Professor Fard Muhammad. How much people ever heard him be called by Professor Fard Muhammad? Just saying, people got info that they're not telling y'all. And his star student, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who built the Nation of Islam after departure of Professor Fard Muhammad in 1933. They met in 1930. And we are aware that Professor Fard Muhammad came into the African American community with an analytical mind, searching the existing conditions of the people and what their leaders had tried before. One such group that he had tried to reconnect the severed African, now in America, with his glorious and God-fearing, God-worshipping past was a man who came to be known as Noble Drew Ali. He started his movement among African Americans, calling them Moorish scientists. This group was a forerunner to the Nation of Islam. Many members of the Nation of Islam were first members of the Moorish Science temples. The earliest members of the Nation of Islam actually wore the red fezzes with the tassels like the Moorish scientists did. On the front of the Moorish Science Temple publications were the words, "Prevention of Sin and Crime." The members of the Nation of Islam carried ID cards on them that read, "This person is a righteous Muslim. If he is caught being otherwise, take this card and punish him." The Moors, of which Noble Drew Ali proclaimed he and his followers were descendants of, were an ancient people of northwest Africa, believed to be descendants of King David and Queen Sheba, or Queen Bilqis, as she is referred to in the Holy Quran, a chapter written titled after her city, Saba. Some Moorish scientists will tell you that they believe that Noble Drew Ali was a reincarnation of both Jesus and Muhammad, two prophets revered by all Muslims worldwide, sent to uplift his own oppressed race, the American Negroes. The Moorish scientists taught, these are the last days of the fulfilling of prophecy. The only way peace is through the universal teachings of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in all lands. The Nation of Islam defined Islam as freedom, justice, and equality. This year marks the 120th anniversary of the birth of Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. He was born as Timothy Drew, January 8, 1886, in the state of North Carolina. The MSTA began as the Moorish Holy Temple of Science in 1913, and in 1928, he incorporated the organization also as the MSTA in Cook County, Illinois. Telling us about Noble Drew Ali, Brother Hatch Bey Mufti wrote in an article, at age 27, Noble Drew Ali had traveled around the world and had visited all the halls of learning in the East. In 1912, Drew appeared in Washington, D.C. at the nation's capital to ask then-President Woodrow Wilson for our people and the return of our flag, the proverbial cherry tree chopped down by General George Washington in 1776. Drew was allowed to retrieve the Moorish flag, the red flag with the five-pointed green star in the center. Drew then asked Mr. Woodson why the government records the Asiatics as Moors on official documents, but in actual practice label them as Negro black colored. Mr. Wilson replied that we knew nothing about your national descent and birthright, and it would not be in the best interest of the American people to wake us up to the truth about ourselves. At this humble request, Drew received the right to teach the so-called blacks about their nationality of Moorish and their divine creed Islam. Another account of the origin of Noble Drew Ali's organization Another account of the origin of Noble Drew Ali's organization is given by Sheikh Ras Sadi Il, who stated, in 1912, Drew united with Suleiman Mohammed and a representative of Emir Abdul Karim El of Morocco, from whom he received certain books, lessons, and knowledge From this union, the Canaanite temple was born. Drew Ali returned to New York, where he established the Moabite Temple of Science of the World, which in 1916 evolved into the Moorish Divine and National Movement of North America. On October 15, 1925, the first Temple of Islam was established by Drew and incorporated as the MSTA in 1928. Before his untimely death in 1929, Drew had established over 15 branch temples, 20 subordinate temples, and his membership was estimated to be over 100,000. These faithful members had established Moorish businesses, as well as other institutions such as newspapers and schools. Hafaz Shirazi, Hafazshirazi, wrote about Noble Drew Ali. In 1913, Noble Drew Ali, known at that time as Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept, officially began his mission to uplift fallen humanity. Reportedly, Drew Ali also established the adept chamber of the Moorish movement in 1913. It is logical to conclude that the original adept chamber had an Egyptian connection and that the term Canaanite was used as a generic racial term. Canaanite was synonymous with Cushite because Canaan, like Egypt, Mizraim, and Arabia, was originally a colony of Cush. Like Cush, Canaan refers to the land or nationality. Jesus and King David were both descendants of Ruth the Moabite and were therefore both of Canaanite descent. However, one thing is clear. Noble Drew Ali was on a mission. He wanted to reconnect. He wanted to satisfy his soul. He wanted to help his people. He was moved to go against the norm of the day, to dress differently, to eat differently, to pray differently. He was searching for his creator Allah. The chapter 45 and 47 of the Divine Origin of Asiatic Nations and Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa, of the Circle 7, Noble Drew Ali contended. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of a Maxim, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing land between the Father and the Son. Right. Goes on. We'll pick up somewhere else. In its August 1974 edition, the National Geographic reported the ancient Phoenicians who established Carthage during 814 to 13 BC also established various other cities, states along the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. The Phoenicians did not call themselves that. They went by the name of their cities: Sidonians, Tyrians, Gibeonites, Gebel, as Biblios was early known. They were among the Canaanites of the Bible, Kinanu in Akkadian, Kinanu in Akkadian. It was the Greeks who later used the name Phoenix, referring to the inhabitants' swarthy skin and the rich purple reds they dyed their clothing. Much later, the Romans, taking the Greeks' word, were to call the Carthaginians Pheni or Punic. Right? So the Punic Wars was actually the Phoenician Wars.
Yeah, the Phoenician Wars.
Yeah.
Same thing, yeah.
The Phoenicians were the greatest seafarers and explorers of the ancient world. They were merchants and manufacturers, colonizers and civilizers. Phoenician voyages went well beyond Gibraltar into the unknown of the open Atlantic. John Gunther's Inside Africa relates Africa below the equator did not begin to open up until the 19th century. Whole countries have been created in the lifetime of people who are not only still alive, but who are not particularly old. Morocco, together with Algeria and Tunisia, Semite or Hamite by race, Arabic by language, and Muslim by religion, is called by the Arabs the Jazira el Maghrib, or Island of the West. Morocco itself is Maghrib al-Aqsa, the farthest west. In early times, there was no particular distinction between the three countries. The Romans called the area Mauritania, but the Mauritania on the maps today is something different, a territory in French West Africa. The original inhabitants of Maghrib were Berbers, who were Hamites. Then followed successive waves of conquest by Phoenicians, who founded Carthage in Tunisia. Greeks, Romans, Vandals, Franks, Byzantines, Arabs, Turks, who did not reach Morocco, and in modern times, the Portuguese, Spanish, and French. The first exploration of the African coastline was Phoenician. In the publication, The Moorish Paradigm, Brother Hakim Bey wrote, the foundation of archaeology and related sciences were laid out in the mid-1800s. The scholars in various fields during this time took the position, often under professional pressure, that anything that contradicted the emerging quote-unquote white supremacy paradigm was to be either suppressed or destroyed. Also, any scholar contradicting this paradigm was discredited and or had their career ruined. Consequently, when excavations uncovered Olmec sculptures dating from approximately 1100 BC in Mexico, similar to those of the Nile, Mesopotamia, India, and West Africa, European scholars theorized that these are representations of the slaves of Phoenician navigators and not the Phoenicians themselves. This would be the first instance in history of slave masters going to such extent to honor their slaves. Honors such as cutting stones from quarries, some weighing up to 60 tons, carving representations of their slaves and transporting them 60 miles to their locations where they were found. Please turn to page 10. Searching for Allah. The color of the fez has specific meaning. Red represents jihad and martyrdom. Black represents authority, and green represents Hajj. The fez derives its name from the Moroccan city of Fez, once renowned as the great center of learning. The 5 principles of the MSTA are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Drew used the term European for Gentiles and Asiatic for non-Gentiles. These substitutions were designed to serve as a curative measure in African Americans' de-Euroification. There is but one race, the human race. Asia and Europe are geographic regions of the same continent. However, they are regarded as different continents. Gentiles deny that Europe is merely a region of Eurasia, the home continent of both Europeans and Asiatics. Read J.A. Rogers from Superman to Man. As fate would have it, in 1929, Drew Ali was taken for questioning by Chicago police and brutally beaten and died soon after his release. After this, the MSTA began to split into factions, one headed by Drew Ali's chauffeur, who took the movement to Detroit. Noble Drew Ali's central teaching was that all blacks were of Moorish and thus Muslim origins. He advocated a return to Islam as the only means of redemption. Drew died mysteriously during a period of internal strife. That's the Muslim journal that, you can go and give them a shout, get your copy. Just so you can have something to show all these fakers that want to try to tell you that this isn't legit. Right? They want to try to tell you that Noble Drew didn't know what he was doing, so I gotta, take it over here and do something a little more than he did, because when you even digest what he did yet, you didn't digest everything that he did. You know what I'm saying? So we have to give the prophet, the honors that he deserves. just for the fact that what he brought us, nobody brought it. What he brought us was, like the Muslims were saying, a redemption. And it's just about studying what he brought. Forget what people said about what he brought. Study what he brought.
Yeah.
Once you study what he brought, then you'll realize something. You know, you realize how great this man is. Right? So to be proclaimed in every meeting, Islam. I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take care of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. To me, your prophet and your Moorish divine national movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few years. So he let the Moors know that this is your stuff. So when you hear people talking about, you know, temple and members in the temple and things like that, members is synonymous with nation if you're talking about temple. Right? Members are citizens. Members are nationals. Members aren't somebody belong to something and then we give you a card. Right? You know, it's important for the people who are coming into this, right, to know, you know, the track record, what went down, so that they can make a honest decision about getting down with this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what went down, you'll come into this and look at it from what you see today. And if you do that, you're definitely not going to get down with this. Because if you base what the Moorish movement looks like today on getting down with this, no, like, you know what I mean, right? Do research, check out to make sure that what it is before you do anything. You know what I mean? If somebody sells you a writ or whatever, you should be able to read that, dissect that. You know, just like we dissected these cards and all this stuff that this guy has. You know what I mean? And for yourself, find what the errors are in it.
Yeah.
Which would show you that, okay, so I know what's up then. You know what I mean? Right? So that's really what it's about. Going within. Go within and find that cord and pull that cord. You know? Something has to manifest. Right? So, we're at that time. So don't forget, Moors, 9:30. You already know, right? Blog Talk Radio, Moorish Heritage and History School, MHHS, eyes wide open. All right. RV Bay Publications.com. You get that stack of stuff right there. RVBayPublications.com. Willofalah.com. So you can get the Iron Sheik music. You got the site now. You know what I mean? So make sure you hit up the site. There's 2 of them. So you go willofalah.com and 7.moorishmc, moorishmc.comuf.com. Go to them sites and, enjoy. And remember, Iron Sheik 5's coming, double album. Watch out. We're coming at everybody as usual. And big up the Moon Crickets, Killer Priest, Lord Fury, and DJ Merciless. You know what I mean? Because hip hop ain't dead. Hip hop ain't dead.
R.I.P. Easy Rock.
Exactly. R.I.P. Easy Rock, for real. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Ashik. Peace and Hotep, Islam to all the Moors, worldwide. Worldwide. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. All right? Peace.